Hey, I'm Bret.
And I'm Stephen.
And we are
the Broadway Husbands.
And on this podcast, we offer advice from our ordinary lives under extraordinary circumstances. So, welcome to episode 3 of the Broadway Husbands podcast. And today, what are we talking about, Stephen?
We are talking about how we planned our wedding.
But first, a little life update. We have had another conversation with our lawyer.
Yes.
And we are currently in negotiations with our surrogate.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's moving forward.
It's moving forward.
We don't know a real timeline, but we know that it's going to happen sooner than later.
We're going to definitely do an episode where we talk really thoroughly about what this whole process is, because it's very long and
very
slow,
long,
especially
and
for
slow.
us.
There are times when we're not sure if it's even going to happen, and then it moves really quickly, and then it goes back to kind of like a halt.
But basically where we are right now is we're negotiating with her lawyer and our lawyer to come up with a contract, because you have to agree to everything before anything happens. And you have to, the worst things that could possibly happen, you have to actually have those conversations.
They're all written out.
Once it's signed, then we might actually be able to book a flight and have her
Fly
come here. And it's all very exciting.
It's very exciting.
So we'll just give you guys a little update on what's happening there. And now we're going to move to our segment that we call Spotlight on Love. All right. So this comes from one of our Instagram followers. He goes by Bill. And Bill asked, I have a question or advice, really. I'm bi. I'm sort of still in the closet. And when I came out to my parents, I told them I wouldn't date anybody until I finished school because I'm really busy. But lately, I've been wanting to experience dating and maybe not having a whole boyfriend, but I'm starting to think I actually do want one. It takes a little deciphering to figure out the real question there. But I think the question is...
Well, it sounds like you are possibly gay because you're saying...
You want a boyfriend.
You want a boyfriend. But I mean, maybe that's just the way it is today.
Well, no. I mean, he says he's bi, but
right.
Maybe he's dated girls.
And now he's ready.
But now he's interested in seeing what it's like to date a guy.
Right.
Now...
Well, it sounds like you know what you want.
But I think what's interesting is that, why would you wait? I mean, if everyone else is dating, regardless if you're bi or not, date, go out and date, have the experience of.
And you might be able to do better in school because you have some moments where you're going out with people, you're having a good time. Therefore, when you go to study, you're able to concentrate better and just give it all you got,
I mean, it just really depends on how studious you are. I think some people are very want to just get through school, get good grades, not worry about romance and dating.
And I fully support that. Yeah. That's definitely something that I think is...
You did that, right?
Yeah. No, but it's something that I tell my younger niece all the time, before she's now married, but before that she I was constantly just go to school, don't worry about anything, just do your homework, don't talk to anyone, just do your thing, get through it, So I wish I had kind of done that. Maybe I would have really gone to college. I don't know. Maybe I would have gone to school. And
I don't know. I feel like I missed out on dating because I was so closeted in high school.
That's true. Yeah.
I feel like I started that whole dating relationship thing really late, and I didn't have anything to pull from.
Right.
And everyone else was already kind of moving on into these second level of dating. And I was like, what's this, a date? I didn't really know how to do that.
But I mean, it feels like a lot of those people that I can think of right now were straight. So,
right. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you're in a place where you can be
open
supported and open, and
then go for it.
Do it, because you're going to learn skills and things that, but I guess if you're it sounds, so that's my advice. I think that if it's a safe place and you're supported, do it. Why not? That's my opinion.
And I think my opinion is just keep studying, get through school, get those good grades,
So
and then worry about
you
it.
get two choices.
Two choices. It's not very clear, but yet it is.
All right. Now, if you want relationship and dating advice from our completely unexpert selves, DM us on Instagram at Broadway Husbands or send us an email on BroadwayHusbands.com, and we just might choose your question or concern on the next episode. Also, to guarantee that you receive our advice, consider becoming a patron of ours on Patreon, and you might just be able to call in live to ask your question. Check this out, plus an array of other benefits at patreon.com/BroadwayHusbands for more details.
Nice.
Yeah? How was that?
That was great.
Thanks, Stephen.
Good job.
You're so sweet.
I love you.
I love you too. So, today I thought it would be interesting since we talked a little bit about our coming out story. I thought it would be interesting for us to talk about how we went about getting married.
We were married?
We're married. Yeah, that's what this ring is for.
Wait, we got married? No, I'm just kidding.
Do you want to start?
Sure. I will start. So, back in June of 2008, oh my God, sounds like a lifetime ago. Bret proposed to me. It was a very busy day. At that time, it was my final performance at New York City Ballet before I left to go do Billy Elliot on Broadway. So it was a very emotional day for me. There was a lot happening. My parents were in town, my brother. Bret had planned this huge party on the roof of the Hotel Empire. And he seemed very stressed out. I remember, there were people calling me from my life who didn't live in New York, and they were saying things like, "I'm so sorry I can't be there for today's performance and party." And I'm like, well, I mean, it's not like I'm not gonna ever perform again. I'm gonna perform in like, a month or something. And like, I talk to you all the time. It's not a big deal. And so I thought that was strange as well. And then, so we go over to the party. There's a lot of people there from New York City Ballet and from Bret's job at the time was Little Mermaid. So a lot of people and family members. And so he asked me, it seemed like Bret was trying to get me to make a speech to just to thank everyone. And so I got up and I just started talking and I thanked everyone. And then while I was thanking them is when he proposed. So that was the beginning of it.
And I will say I was super nervous.
He was so nervous.
I mean, I spent a lot of money on this party, and then I had bought rings, and I was secretly planning this whole proposal. And I was doing the proposal in front of like 100 people and Stephen's parents and everybody. I had decided, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just like, oh, it'll be fun to have all of our friends there. And Stephen's last performance at New York City Ballet, and he was going to go start Billy Elliot on Broadway. It was kind of a big deal. So yeah, I was really nervous, and I'm like, okay, now it's time to for me to give a speech. And Stephen interrupted me.
I did.
And was like, oh no, Bret's going to say something embarrassing. And then I was even twice as nervous because I had planned to do it, and then he interrupted me. Anyway, so that's how we got engaged.
Yes.
And Stephen said yes. And then we planned our wedding 3 years later.
Yeah. So then fast forward, I'm just trying to give it to you really well, not quick, but just get through it. So in 2011, Bret was on tour with the South Pacific tour.
Oh.
And he had been on the road. And so we're doing a lot of I was going to see him whenever I could. And I remember he got off the road on February 14th of 2011. God, for some reason I can really remember certain dates. So he got off the road on Valentine's Day of 2011. And I remember I don't know if we weren't fighting, but we were definitely kind of arguing or kind of bickering about something. And I don't remember really what it was. I think we were both just sort of frustrated because he had been gone, and it's not easy. And then Bret kind of like turned to me and said, "Are we gonna get married or what?" And like literally, I just like, let's do it, and like it literally this happened in like 2 minutes. I just said, well, let's do it. It was like our anniversary, like the first time we went on a date was April 18th. Let's do it on April 18th. We look at the calendar. It turns out April 18th was a Monday, and it was the perfect day, and we went from there.
So when we decided to plan our wedding, I literally went onto some website, and actually, if you go, like I said, if you go to our blog, I've got a list of books that we use, because what's interesting about having a gay wedding is that you don't have to follow any traditions. We could pretty much make up whatever we want.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing research on basic, like typical rituals people do at weddings, and kind of molding our ceremony to be however we wanted, and running things by Stephen and being like, what do you think of this? Do you like that? And we kind of built this whole ceremony on things that we thought were meaningful.
All of the things that we liked and were into, we're like, let's do that. So,
and then for the photographer, we were like, hey, what about your friend Laura, who was in Billy Elliot with you?
Right.
And so she's a performer in Billy Elliot, Laura Marie Duncan, who's just an amazing wedding photographer. She did all of our photos. And then my friend George, who's just super creative and fun, we were like, will you film everything? So he
filmed it on one of those little, remember those?
Yeah, what was it called?
It's like a flip camera?
Flip cam. Remember those flip cams?
Yeah, it was all filmed on its little flip cam.
Yeah. And then I asked our friend, so we didn't really talk about this. We asked, so in the episode 2, we talked about our coming out stories. And when I was in high school, I was on the Thespian Society for the Texas State Thespians, of course. And I met this guy in Austin when I was 15. His name was Chris Shelton. And Chris was on the Thespian State Board with me in Texas. And we became pen pals in high school. And he would write me these little letters, and they would be like very hormonal, like teenage love letters. We met one weekend, but it was like, I love you, like, and I remember I would get so excited to get these letters from Chris in high school, and I would run home. One time I ran home knowing I was getting a letter, and my mom was there with the mail, and I was like, did I get anything in the mail? And she was like, here it is. And I go upstairs and I rip open the letter, and I read the letter, and it's like, I love you, and drama. And then I go downstairs, and
what does your mom say?
She's like, who's it from? And I was like, oh, it's from the Thespian Society. We have a meeting coming up. And she looks at me and she goes, I steamed open the letter. I know who it's from. And she said, they try to recruit. That's what they're trying to recruit you, and this isn't what God wants for you. Like, sat me down, had it was horrible. And my solution was, I called Chris and I said, you got to send me the letters via the choir room at the school. So then I would show up at choir at the school and ask the choir teacher, did I get anything in the mail? Fast forward to us getting married, and Chris is still somebody I stay in touch with. He is now a Presbyterian pastor living with his husband on the Upper West Side, and they actually currently have a little boy, and I asked him to marry us, and he was our officiant at our wedding.
Yep.
So we had him, was sort of this full circle moment of that. And then he's just a wonderful human being. And if you don't know, his church is Broadway Presbyterian Church on 114th. And so that was another personal touch that we had was Chris.
That was great. And, we had a couple counseling sessions with him where we got to talk and, just talk through our expectations. And he was great. And it was also nice. I really liked, I was just thinking back to the ceremony. Typically, like what happens in a straight wedding is the bride walks down the aisle and the groom is waiting. So what we did was we walked down the aisle together and held hands, and they sang a song.
He had the whole
Everyone that was there for the
there,
ceremony.
sing live. There was no music, so they
Yeah.
just sang together and raised their voices.
Yeah,
It was very
as we
sweet.
walked down the aisle, it was really special.
And then we threw a huge reception a big reception in New York City.
Huge.
It was huge. There was 100 people there, but it was fun. It was
fun.
It was at the Manhattan Penthouse.
Yeah, on 14th and 5th Avenue.
And later that night, so everyone took the train up from Grand Central, and I actually made a playlist for them to download to their phones.
That's right.
And then
we had a nice lunch for people who came out of town in Greenwich, Connecticut, because there was like some extra time between the ceremony, and then I think cocktail hour started at 6, so there was some time for people to get back into the city and kind of rest and regroup.
And Yeno at Manhattan Penthouse hooked us up.
His last name is Steiner, right?
Yeno Steiner. He's married now.
Is he? Yes, that's right.
But he ended up taking really good care of us. If he's still there, that was 2011. So
yeah, I'm not sure.
Who knows? I haven't talked to him in a while.
Yeah.
But they gave us open bar, so our family was very happy.
Yeah.
And the food was amazing. We danced our butts off.
Yeah. Lots of dancing. We had a really fun first dance.
We had the dancers.
Which is all on a video.
Do you know the Spangles Dance Company?
The Spangles Dance Company, choreographed by Ricky Hines.
They danced in our
first dance, and we danced with them, which was really cool. We were super excited.
You got to find that video. It was pretty epic. We got married on a Monday, which I highly recommend.
Because a lot of places will give you a discount because it's not a popular day for people to get married.
It's true. And it was in April, and it had been raining for like 6 days, and then it stopped raining for that one day. And then it rained again for another 6 days or something crazy after that. But we ended up planning the whole thing, like I said, in 60 days. I was doing a show at Paper Mill Playhouse, and I had all the people in the ensemble helping me put together all the gifts for the guests. And then I would be planning the whole thing while doing a show. You were doing
Billy Elliot
still.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't legal for gays to be married in New York yet.
Yeah.
So we couldn't actually get married in New York.
So we got married in Greenwich, Connecticut.
And I picked Greenwich
because it was the first stop on the train.
It's actually not the first stop on the train.
Yeah, actually it's not.
I picked it because it was the first stop on the train that had a pretty town hall.
Yeah, but did you know that before we went there?
Yeah, I Googled it.
Oh, because I remember when we got there,
photos.
I was like, well, because the town hall is nice, but like, luckily we didn't have to
because it was like that or
because
Stanford, and I was like, this Stanford
Greenwich
wasn't
was
as
way
pretty.
nicer.
Like Greenwich was so nice,
but also the town of Greenwich is just very nice. So
we planned our whole wedding in 60 days, and we were like, we're gonna do it on Monday because we're both off from work,
and we knew that we wouldn't have to, ask for extra days at the time,
and we had all of our friends sort of chip in and help with the wedding planning. So we had people who we were like, in lieu of gifts, why don't you perform? Because that is a gift. And
then we also had people help with the centerpieces.
Oh yeah, we had some props people from Mermaid help with the centerpieces. And it was really very personal.
One tip I would say was like we bought our flowers wholesale, and then we were able to get everything on a pretty good discount and just decorate the flowers the way we wanted them, which was really
Broadway
nice.
husbands work on a budget. We are budget husbands.
But I will say that year, because there was like a first-time home buyer's credit and we had just bought our first apartment, we got this huge tax return, which we never get anymore. And thanks, Barack Obama. And we were able to pay for our wedding with that.
Yeah.
That's basically how we were able to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I highly, highly recommend look at days that aren't regular days for wedding.
Yeah. And it's interesting, like being a gay man, I never really envisioned myself getting married. And then we like slowly discussed it. And over time, it was something we really wanted. And I think leading up to it wasn't completely sold that like we needed to do it. it was something that we had to do. And then I will tell you, after that day, the day was so meaningful, and I cried so many times with tears of joy. And it was just something I'll never forget, like the way it made me feel and the way it committed us to each other and just so many things. So it was definitely worth it, way more than I could have ever dreamed or imagined.
I 100% agree, and we wouldn't have a podcast if it weren't for it.
Oh my
Hey.
God, because we wouldn't be husbands.
Well, thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe, write us a review on whatever listening device or whatever podcast network you listen to. Make sure you check us out on the Broadway Podcast Network. We are so grateful to be part of the Broadway Podcast Network home and family. And don't forget to love what you do
And love who you love.